Namaste, welcome back. My name is Pooja and I am pleased to be back with another 20-minute yoga sequence that you can practice at home. This yoga sequence is aimed at stretching out the backs of the legs. So if you have tight hamstrings, this is the perfect sequence for you, or even just if you want to stretch them out and wake the backs of the legs up. All you need for this sequence is a mat, a yoga belt. If you don't have a yoga belt, any kind of belt could do, even a towel is great, and a couple of blocks. If you don't have blocks, again, you could use anything to elevate yourself. So you could use boxes or a couple of books, and then one cushion or a pillow. So let's get started. We're going to begin by just allowing ourselves to drop into the present moment in child's pose. So Balasana to begin with, you can either keep your knees together, toes touch, or your knees are as wide as the mat or as wide as your hips. Choose whichever suits you. Keep the toes together, slide your hips back, walk your hands forward. Inhale to lengthen the spine, and with the exhalation, we're going to allow the head and the chest to drop forward and down. And for any reason at all, if you feel that this doesn't quite feel right to begin with, and if you need a little support, this is where you can use the cushion. Either place it in between your hips and your heels if that makes you a little more comfortable. Maybe even place it under your head if your head does not reach the floor. And whenever you found your comfort, I invite you to just allow your entire body to breathe. See if you can use this moment to really tune into the body, tune into the breath. Allow the breath to feel smooth, effortless, nourishing. And this is a great posture to start any practice because it brings us so close to the ground, so close to Mother Earth. So take a moment to feel all those points of contact between your body and the ground. Tune into this nourishing, grounding energy that Mother Earth brings. Take in one more breath here. And with your next inhalation, I invite you to gaze forward, lift the head, and reach into that tabletop position. So we're going to bring our knees right under the hips, the wrists right under the shoulders, and spread our fingertips nice and wide. Good. Take a moment here to settle in, and we're going to tuck our toes under. Now, if your wrists are right under the shoulders, you're going to walk them just 2 inches forward, getting ready for our downward facing dog. So make sure you are spreading your fingers wide and pressing your finger pads onto the mat, almost as if you wanted to grip the mat with your finger pads. Index fingers are pointing forward. Press away from the ground with your finger pads. Keep the toes tucked under. Draw the lower belly in. Lift the knees off the floor and press the hips back. All right, so this is our first downward facing dog. We're going to keep the knees super bent. So really generously bend your knees. And now we're going to start to really wake up the backs of the legs by bending one knee a lot more than the other. And as you do so, can you try to reach the opposite heel a little closer to the ground? So if your left knee is bent, you're reaching the right heel towards the ground. It doesn't matter if it touches or not. We're just stretching out the backs of the legs, and we're going to switch sides. So we're going to bend the right knee in toward the chest and straighten the left leg a little more. And keep switching. So we're pedaling out our feet, and this is a great way to really wake up the backs of the legs, stretch out the hamstrings, the calves. And while we do so, we're breathing naturally in through the nose, out through the nose, and keeping that length through the spine. So keep pressing the ground away from you with your finger pads. Keep your neck nice and relaxed, and we're going to pedal it out for one more breath. Good job. And come back to center and find some stillness in your down dog. Once again, bend your knees, send your hips back and high. Good. Inhale to look forward. Lift the gaze, bend the knees, and start to walk your feet towards your hands. Taking baby steps. And once you reach there, I invite you to keep your feet hip-width distance, bend your knees a lot, and allow your upper body to drape over your legs as you drop the head down. So, we're going to hold on to our elbows, to the opposite elbows, and let the weight of our elbows drive us down towards the earth. Allow your head to completely drop. You might even want to shake your head no, nod your head yes, just to allow any tension from the neck to melt away. So notice if you're putting more weight into the balls of your feet or into the heels, can you shift just a little more weight into the balls of your feet? Lift the kneecaps, keep the knees softly bent, and then drop the head a little further down. And you should already start to feel quite a nice stretch in the backs of your legs, but also in the back. This is a great way to decompress the spine. You may even want to sway from side to side to release the sides of your spine. Take in one more breath here. And let's come back to center. Release the arms, release the fingertips down. Press into both your feet equally and take your time to slowly roll yourself up, stacking one bone over the other, no rush at all. Your shoulders, your neck, and your head will come up last. Good, and once you're up standing, we're going to take a moment to find that length through the body. So grounding down through your feet, feel that energy lifting through the legs, through the spine, and you're standing nice and tall. All right. We're going to do the first standing posture now. We're going to spread our legs nice and wide. You want about 3 feet distance in between your feet. And let's turn the right foot out. So the right toes point out and the left toes will point at a diagonal at about a 45-degree angle. Now, I invite you to really keep your feet on 2 parallel lines instead of both your feet being on one straight line, just for balance. So imagine you have railway tracks and one foot is on one line and the other one on the other line. Good? All right, now hands are on our hips. The thumbs will be back and the forefingers in front. So this way we're able to kind of control how our hip bones move. All right, let's turn our chest towards the right side and our hip bones towards the right. So our hip bones, our chest, and our right toes are all pointing towards the same direction. Inhale to lengthen through the spine. With your exhalation, start to hinge forward from your hips. So think of really lengthening through the spine here. And we're going to stop just when our upper body is parallel to the ground. Now this is where we're going to use our hands. With your right hand, can you pull your right hip back and your left hip forward? This is just to allow us to square our hips forward. So if we were somewhere here, we want to pull the left hip forward, right hip back. Nice job. Can you feel that length in the sides of your waist? Inhale. With your next exhalation, slowly start to melt your chest down towards your leg. And it's okay if you have a micro bend in that forward knee. Just try to straighten it as much as possible, but a micro bend is always welcome. Good, so every inhalation we're thinking of lengthening through the spine, and every exhale we're melting our chest down towards our leg. Now, another variation here is to use blocks. You can bring your hands onto blocks and place the blocks on either side of your foot. You can even increase the length depending on how tight you are in the backs of the legs. So this is one option. Lengthen through the spine on your inhale, and with the exhalation, drop the head, melt the chest down. You can always stay with the hands on your hips. Maybe if you are pretty open in the hamstrings, you can bring your hands down onto the mat. So we're going to stay one more breath here, inhaling to lengthen, exhaling to draw the belly button in and melt the chest down. Good. To come out of the posture, bring your awareness onto your feet. Press down equally into both your feet. Inhale, lift the gaze. If your hands were down, bring them back to your hips and lift the upper body up. That should feel pretty good in the backs of the legs. That's a beautiful stretch for the backs of the legs. We're going to turn over and do the same thing on the opposite side. So I'm going to stay facing this way just so that you see this angle as well. So this time my left foot is forward, my right foot is back, and the toes are turned in at a 45-degree angle. Once again, remember to keep your feet on two parallel lines. All right, hands on the hips, turn your hip bones to face the front. Your chest is nice and open, so the shoulders, the hip bones, and the left toes are now facing in the same direction. Inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale to hinge forward. Both your feet are equally grounded and pressing into the ground. Now from here, we're going to square our hips. Let's pull the left hip back and the right hip forward. Left hip back, right hip forward. Beautiful. Inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale to let the chest melt towards the ground. And just reach as far as you can without going over the edge and pushing yourself too hard. We want to progress in every posture we practice organically and safely. Now, once again, you can keep your hands here on the hips, or you can use your blocks or books or whatever you have available to find a little lift. Inhaling to lengthen the spine, exhaling to draw the lower belly in and to let the chest melt down towards the legs. So think of really creating length with every inhale, and with the exhale, let the chest drop. And you'll see that the more you practice and the more consistently you practice, you'll start to feel the hamstrings opening up, the calf muscles stretching out, and you'll reach further and further down. Good. Let's come out of the posture now. If your hands are down onto the blocks or onto the floor, bring them back on your hips. Inhale. With your exhale, press into both your feet and lift your chest up. Good. And walk your feet back together. Great job. We're going to do one more standing posture before we sit down. And this will be the standing wide-legged forward fold. So make sure you have a really wide stance, about 4 or even 5 feet distance in between both your feet. Depends on how tall you are. Your toes will be pointing forward or even slightly inward. All right, let's bring our hands to our hips. Inhale to lengthen the spine. With your exhalation, start to hinge forward. Let your heart guide you forward. Good. Are we pressing equally into both our feet? Are we lengthening the sides of the waist? Inhale, and with the exhale, let the head drop down towards the ground. Now from here, you can bring your hands down onto your mat. If that is not accessible, again, you use your blocks or your books or whatever you have available. The aim here is to stretch out the backs of the legs. So think of lifting the hips high, inhaling to lengthen the spine, and with the exhalation, you're letting your head drop. Don't worry if your legs are not super straight. If you have a slight mini bend in the knees, that's okay. In fact, I encourage it. Think of lifting the hips high, lengthening the spine, and then dropping the head down. So if your hands touch the floor, maybe you can bring them in between your feet. Your fingertips are in line with your toes. The elbows point back. You inhale to lengthen and you exhale to fold. Think of actively lifting the hips up and drawing the crown of your head down. With every exhale, think of drawing the belly button in toward the spine to create more space for the fold. Nice job. With your next inhalation, look forward, lengthen the spine, bring your hands onto your hips if they were not already there. Press equally into your feet and reach back up. Good. And heel to your feet back together. This already feels like such a good stretch for the backs of the legs. Good. Let's sit down onto our mats. And we're going to do our seated forward fold. So today we're going to do one leg at a time. So we're not going to do the one where we stretch out both the legs because it can be a little more challenging. So let's use a cushion. If you're tight in the hamstrings, you might feel that you're rounding through the back even here. So we're going to place a cushion right under the sitting bones just to find a little lift. Stretch out the right leg, flex the right toes, and bring the sole of your left foot to the inside of your right thigh. Let the left knee drop. If for any reason the knee doesn't reach the floor, you can even place a block to support that knee. All right, so once again, make sure you're flexing your toes, and you might need a towel or a belt here, you might not. Let's check it out. All right, so first thing, straighten your back, lengthen the spine, reach the arms up. Take a big breath in. With your exhalation, reach forward and fold over the leg. Now, the aim here is not to reach the head towards our leg. The aim is to lengthen the spine and stretch the back of our leg. So, if you feel that you're rounding here and you're somewhere here, we're going to use a towel or a strap or a belt. Wrap it around the sole of our right foot and hold both the edges with both our hands. Inhale to lengthen the spine. With the exhalation, pull onto that belt. Let the elbows go out wide. And you might just reach here and this is enough. Think of lengthening the spine with the inhale. With every exhale, maybe the chest melts a little further down towards your leg. And just hold wherever you think it's enough for you today. Let's take one more breath. If you are without a strap and you hold and you reach your foot, that's great. You can lengthen here and exhale to drop your chin down towards your knee. If you don't reach your foot, you can even just grab onto your shin. Nice job, everyone. Inhale to look forward and slowly release. All right, I'm going to demonstrate the other side without the cushion. So this time the left leg is going to be straight. The right leg is bent with the sole of the right foot against the left inner thigh. Let's flex our left foot, left toes towards our face. Reach the arms out and up. Inhale. With our exhalation, let's hinge forward. Maybe we reach our foot, maybe just the shin. Inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale to fold forward. So once again, just listen to your body. Be fully aware of how your body feels. If you think you need a little bend in the left knee, please feel free to bend that knee. Keep the foot flexed, and the reason we flex the toes is that it activates and it stretches out the calf muscles and it activates the leg in general. So inhale to lengthen, exhale to fold. Let's take one more breath here. Once we're done, we're going to inhale to look forward And slowly start to walk the hands towards us and release. All right, and the last posture we will do here is again a seated fold, for which we're going to spread the legs nice and wide. And once again, you might need to sit on a cushion. If you feel that you're rounding through the back, sit on top of a cushion, sitting bones on the cushion, and then think of tilting the pelvis. So as we tilt our pelvis, the pubic bone is reaching down and forward, all right? So the tailbone is lifting, the pubic bone is reaching towards the front. Our feet are flexed, so we're pointing the toes towards our face. Flex your toes. Reach the arms forward. Inhale to lengthen the spine, and with your exhalation, relax the shoulders as you start to walk the hands forward. Think of that long line of energy from the sitting bones up to the crown of your head, and you might stop right here. This might be enough for you. You might already feel quite a deep stretch in the backs of your legs, and you're going to stop right here. If at all you feel that this is just not comfortable, you might want to place some cushions under the knees or even blocks under the knees. See what feels good for you. And then explore. Maybe with your next inhalation, you're able to lengthen the spine a little more and reach your hands further. Maybe your elbows reach down and you're able to drop the forearms down onto the ground. So wherever you reach is great. Without any judgment at all, allow yourself to be in this variation of the posture. So keeping your toes flexed, your knees can be micro bent, that's okay. Be present with the sensations that you feel in the backs of the legs, maybe even in the lower back, lengthening on the inhale, exhaling to allow the chest to move forward and down. Let your heart guide you forward and then down. And once again, every breath might take you a little deeper into the posture, so see where it takes you. Maybe you walk the hands a little further away. And this is a great way to stretch out not only the backs of the legs, but even the inner thighs. So let's take one more breath here. And then with your next inhalation, lift your head, gaze forward, walk your hands back towards you and bend the knees, come back into your seated position. I hope that this sequence was useful and that you really felt that stretch in the backs of your legs. I certainly did. I will be back with more 20-minute yoga videos. Stay tuned, subscribe to this channel, and leave us a comment to let us know that you practiced with us. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you again very soon. Namaste.